Hi everyone. All right. I hope that you can see my screen. I'm pretty sure that you can see my screen. And all right, Valentine's Day, we love it. So we're doing all the couples astrology charts. So the one of the greatest things about astrology is that we can see the chemistry between people. If you hear a dog crying, that's my brother's dog who is sad that my brother left. There's no one harming him. No need to be concerned. He will be fine and happy as soon as my brother walks back in. So back to the astrological charts, synastries. So we can do synastries and we can do composite charts. There's different ways to see this. And what we're going to be doing right now is looking at couples synastries. So here we're looking at Kit Harington and Rose Leslie. This couple was recommended to me by a friend, and it's actually quite a beautiful thing to look at for several reasons. So I'm going to start by explaining what I do when I'm looking at couples charts and trying to decipher whether this is a healthy relationship or not, basically, right? Because that's really what we want to know when we're looking at charts with people in common. We want to know if our chemistry is going to be good for each other and not. Because there's a lot of times when we are really attracted to people who we have intense chemistry with, but that chemistry is not always the best one. And I'm going to go into that later in famous couples, in famous toxic couples charts. But as for right now, we're looking at one that looks to be really healthy, and I'm going to go into why. So let's take a look. All right. The first thing when we're talking about relationships, romantic relationships, it's because if it was a business relationship, we would be looking at something else. But this is a romantic relationship, so we're looking at emotional needs, communication, sex drive, yeah, and a couple of other stuff. So, the moon. The moon is quite a significator for our emotional needs. We want our moons to be compatible, right? So when I'm looking at their moon here, what we're looking at right now is inside we have Kit Harington and outside we have Rose Leslie. So we can see that Kit Harington's moon is in Scorpio, 0 degrees, and Leslie's moon is in Cancer, 2 degrees. So that already tells us of positive chemistry. Why? Because both of their moons are in the intuitive, romantic, emotional water signs. Good. Before we start making any further deductions, let's move on to what their communication styles are. Where are we going to look at their communication styles? We're going to look at their communication styles with Mercury. So we're going to see that Kit Harington has his Mercury in Sagittarius, and Rose Leslie has her Mercury in Pisces. These are pretty different, but they share the same ruler. So Sagittarius is a fire sign, the third of the fire signs. Pisces is the third of the water signs. This tells me that she's very intuitive. She's really, really intuitive. And now her Mercury, not just her moon, but also her Mercury is trining his moon. So since she has a Mercury in a water sign that's in a trine to his moon, then we know that she can speak to his emotions, that he and her share an intuitive communication. They can talk without really talking to each other. They can be in each other's dreams. They can talk through emotion. So if he's feeling something, her Mercury, which is like our logical antenna, will pick it up, and she will know what his emotions are going through. His Mercury in Sag gives us for very fiery communication, fiery, expansive. Both Pisces and Sagittarius share Jupiter as the planet ruler, and Jupiter is expansion, abundance, jolliness, wisdom, and all like pretty growth oriented, like growth subjects, wise growth subjects. It's evolved. So they share Jupiterian qualities in their speech. So they probably have very expansive communications, and they expand each other's knowledge by talking to each other. So they go into a conversation, they both know a lot about what they're talking to, because Sag and Pisces are both wise, and they both really understand people, both understand like where society comes from, what the soul is, and they probably spend a lot of time talking about the soul, because Pisces and Sagittarius share that quality of wanting to understand. Well, Pisces knows it. Pisces just already knows the human soul and is an expert, and Sagittarius wants to find out. So she probably just, because her Mercury is in Pisces, which already knows about the soul, and his Mercury is in Sagittarius, which just needs to find out more about the soul, she probably inspires him a lot. And he entertains her a lot, because Sagittarius, despite wanting to know more, will talk more and will be more fiery about the conversation and give you a lecture. And Pisces will just love looking at Sagittarius and listen to that Sagittarius talk about what they know. So then we move on to, so okay, we already know that they have positive moon chemistry and they have positive um, communication, Mercury chemistry. Now we're going to go and look at their Venuses. Are they attracted to the same kind of things? Do they have interests in common? This is what Venus is going to tell us. So her Venus is in Capricorn, and his Venus is in Scorpio. Ooh, and what these two share is a deep what Scorpio and Sagittarius share is a deep understanding of the darkness of human nature. They, and not just the darkness, but everything, like all the shades. They're not just gonna look at the bright side like other signs would, but they're gonna look at the real thing behind that. So they're both really, like, they're realistic, and we can see that she is more oriented to growth and ambition. She's attracted to ambition and also to like very strong family values. Scorpio also has strong family values. Scorpio needs to be around people who have strong family values, because Scorpio will just pour itself right into its family. So they really need a stable family that can hold them. And they're very fertile together, right? So if you put those two together, I will also give them a high score in Venus compatibility. And now, okay, so we know how they can talk and they're not going to get tired of speaking to each other. And we know that their emotional needs are compatible as well. Do they have the commitment necessary? Do they have the same, are they going to commit to things that are compatible? Like, or are they going to be committed to things that are going to take them apart? Let's find their Saturn. Saturn is important in relationships. So his Saturn is, oh, they both have the same Saturn. Yeah. They both have the Saturn in Sagittarius. How beautiful is this? Yeah, okay, so one of the strongest, and they're in conjunction. They're conjunct. Those are in within 5 degrees of each other in Sagittarius, meaning that there could be marriage if the Saturns are compatible, then we can see marriage and healthy probably. And now we want to know, but what about who they were as individuals? Like every soul comes into the earth with the purpose of fulfilling itself, right? There's some like self-realization that the souls need to do. If they commit to each other, will they be in the way of each other's self-realization? Will they be, or will they be helping each other get to that place where they will be self like where they will be realizing their soul's purpose? And that we look with the North Node. So what we can see here is that they have almost a conjunct North Node as well. They both have their North Node in Aries. So they have a common soul purpose. They have common things that they commit to. And now we're going to see their Mars. Mars is important here because Mars is a planet of war. And we know that relationships can either be heaven or they can be war. And if a Mars is badly aspected, which we'll get into when we look at the toxic relationships, they can damage and hurt each other. So we need to be careful with that. So we're looking at his Mars in 20 degrees of Pisces. With his Jupiter, so that's a very strong person. Well, we don't know what her Pisces house is. So if this was her first house, if she was ascendant Pisces, that would be the only way this could be bad. But if it's not, if it's somewhere else in her house that's not her first house, then it could be pretty well good. It's an expansive Mars. And then let's look at her Mars. Oh, and her Mars is in Aries. So here's where she has like where he has the receptive qualities in their communication, where she has the receptive qualities in the communication. She's the go-getter because her Mars is in Aries. So she's the one who wears the pants in the relationship. And his Mars is in Pisces, meaning that he's there receiving, like he'll wait for her. She might be the one, she might have been the one who initiated, you know, like she might have been the one who'd be like, hey, do you want to go out? Because her Mars in Aries is a person who does not wait for it. They want something and they get up and they get it. So she might have been the one who initiated contact with him, or who like initiated stuff or constantly initiates stuff in the relationship, and he's there just receiving it because Mars in Pisces receives a lot. So whenever you get a man with Pisces, with Mars in Pisces, don't worry if he's not the one who always texts first. Because the way that men with Mars in Pisces go after things is by letting those things come to them. It's an attractive force. And then he has the fire in their communication. So where he is fiery in the way they communicate, she is fiery in the way they act, and they both have this Pisces in common, which makes them both very receptive, very romantic souls. This is a very romantic relationship. Then we're going to look at their sun. Her sun is in Aquarius, and his sun is in Capricorn. These signs are both ruled by Saturn. Their Saturn are conjunct in Sagittarius, which tells me that this couple not only commits to whatever they want to do, they also commit to each other and they go out on adventures together. So wherever they're going, like they're expanding their consciousness through going on long trips, and they really are committed to each other. They have really strong boundaries. They have a strong sense of commitment. They will stick to each other probably, and they'll give each other a lot of inspiration and new ideas.